Welcome to the Morrison Report. Hosted by Morrison, sales representative for Bosley Real Estate Limited Brokerage. Ms. Morrison has co-authored the best-selling book, Success Today, with Brian Tracy, and has been interviewed on NBC, ABC, and CBS affiliates by Bob Guinea from The Bachelor. Devel, a real estate investor, has spoken to many attendees at her real estate seminars and is currently ranked in the top 5% of agents in her brokerage. Join me in welcoming your host, Devel Morrison.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really wanted to create the Toronto Real Estate Market Insights to talk about everything that's fascinating about real estate. Real estate isn't just about buying and selling houses. There's so much more that goes into it and making the city a better place that we want to buy real estate in. So really wanted to create a podcast to talk about Toronto Real Estate Market Insights. So thank you so much for joining me. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today, I really wanted to talk to you about buying a condo. So you really want to buy a condo? Let me tell you about some of the ins and outs about making a condo purchase in the city of Toronto. So the first thing you really need to think about is location, 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 as they always say. So I always ask people, where do you work? And where do you like to go out? Because those things are incredibly important for people picking just the right condo that's just for them. You certainly want to make it so that you can get to work easily, whether it's through TTC or whether it's via the highways, but making sure that you pick a condo that you're easily going to be able to get to work, quite simply. The other thing that's important is that all buildings are not created equal. So you really need to look at whether you want to be in an older condo building or a newer condo building. And they both have their pluses and minuses. When you're talking about an older condo building, the spaces tend to be larger. The condo units tend to be a little bit larger. With the newer condo buildings, again, they tend to be a little bit smaller in size. The average condo size that they're building these days is about 550 square feet. So if you want really, really large space, the best thing is to go with an older condo. But sometimes when it comes to maintenance fees, you have to weigh older condo versus newer condo. Some older buildings have got the condo fees all figured out, and their condo fees are quite low. On the other hand, there's some older buildings where they haven't quite figured it out, and the condo fees are quite high. And then there's newer buildings where the condo fees tend to be somewhere in the middle. And again, it also depends on what kind of amenities that particular condo has. I have some people who say to me, we really want to get a concierge. And I'm like, do you know how expensive that concierge is for the budget? So having a 24-hour concierge, having a swimming pool, all of those things go towards adding additional cost to the maintenance fees. So those are things to really think about and contemplate. How badly do you need those things? Because you want to keep the maintenance fees down as low as possible. Or then maybe you don't, and you don't mind paying for those things. The other thing that you should look at is the size of the building. I always have clients come to me and say, I really want a cool, small boutique building. Seems to be that's what everybody wants until you start putting the numbers down. And the thing about that small boutique building is if there's only 50 or 80 units to spread all of the costs of the maintenance of the building together, the maintenance fees are going to be proportionally a little bit higher than another building that has 200 or 300 units because there's simply more people to spread the costs around. The elevator contract or the cleaning contract in some of these buildings costs are relatively the same. And so that's why when you're in a smaller building, your costs can go up dramatically versus being in a larger building simply because you've got more people to share the costs around. So it's a good thing to sort of put together that dream wish list about what you think is the most important thing to you and figure out what's really important to you. If keeping those maintenance fees down low is really important, then I would say certainly go for the larger building over the boutique building. But those are things that you really need to think about in terms of what's important when you're looking for a place. The other thing is, are you open to a fixer-upper? When people purchase houses, they're certainly open to having to redo kitchens and bathrooms and carpets. But I find that in the condo market, people aren't yet accustomed to having to redo and fix up a condo. But in today's market, that's certainly a really good way to get value because you have a lot of older condo stock out there. The finishings and the fixtures are quite old. And of course, because most people don't want to fix it up themselves, those condos sit on the market for a really long time. So in terms of getting a really good deal, as they say, the best way to get a good deal is to buy that fixer-upper condo and do the work yourself. Now, that's not necessarily an easy task. As I say that, like it's simple. Doing the work on a condo is actually a little bit more difficult than doing the work on a house. When you do work on a condo, you now need to usually get plans and everything approved by the board members as well as the property manager, which takes a little bit of time. In a house, you might not necessarily need to do that if you're doing simple renovations. But when it comes to a condo, if you're going to be replacing the carpeting, well, whatever you do to that floor is certainly going to affect the person who lives below you. So they've got to make sure that you're putting in the correct sort of undermount to make sure that the soundproofing is still going to be okay for the person below you if you take off the carpet and put down hardwood floors. So that's something to remember too. But a fixer-upper condo is certainly a good way to get great value for your money if you're willing to do the work. And of course, if you're willing to find a contractor that's willing to do a work in a condo, because again, the contractor pool of people who are willing to do work in condos is certainly a little bit smaller than those who are willing to do work in houses. And that's simply because for a contractor, all of a sudden there's no bin to toss out their materials. They literally have to bring everything down piece by piece in the elevator. So it's a little bit more complicated to do renovations in a condo, but certainly worth it to get the value and get exactly what you want for your money. So when you purchase a condo, one of the things that you would do is you would make sure that your purchase is conditional on your lawyer having the opportunity to review the status certificate. Reviewing the status certificate. So what the heck is a status certificate? What that is the financials of the building. So you'll get to see the income statement, the balance sheet. You'll get an opportunity to see exactly how much money they have in the reserve fund. And you'll get to see when they did the reserve fund study, what that engineering company recommended to them that they should keep in their reserve fund. So let's say, for example, that engineering company went through the entire building and figured out, in 20 years, the roof needs to be replaced. In 10 years, the garage needs to be fixed. In 25 years, the elevator needs to be replaced. In 10 or 15 years, the windows need to be replaced. Those are the kinds of things that the engineering firm that does the reserve fund study will look at. So if they say to the building that, you should have $1 million in your reserve fund, it's really up to the condo board and the residents to make sure that that actually happens. So one of the things that your lawyer is going to do when they take a look at that status certificate is to make sure that the condo building has actually listened to that engineering firm that has recommended to have X amount of dollars in that reserve fund. And if they haven't, then your lawyer might suggest that they might have a special assessment coming because it means they don't have enough money in their reserve fund to pay for upcoming repairs. And a special assessment they might say that each unit owes $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to do future repairs. And that'll really be that amount is based on the size of the unit. So that's something to be aware of. Every time you purchase a condo, your lawyer will have the opportunity to view the status certificate. So it's always going to be conditional on the status certificate as well as sometimes a finance condition as well to make sure that your bank can approve the money that you're spending for the condo. And from the time you purchase it to the time you close, the bank at any point, or the CMHC for that matter, can also send out an appraiser. And the appraiser is going to make sure that the value of the condo you paid is the value of the condo they think it's worth. Because if they're going to be giving you a mortgage, they want to make sure that the value of the mortgage is exactly where they feel it should be. So those are some of the steps that happen after you purchase the condo. But of course, before you get to purchasing the condo, there are things that you want to do and research to make sure that you're purchasing the condo that's just right for you. So you want to make sure you take a look at the amenities. Take a look and see, do you like the pool? Also, take a look you're going to see the concierge, take a look at the exercise room. Are those things even important to you? Take a look at the parking spot. So when you purchase a condo, it'll always say what the parking spot number is, but a lot of people don't take the time to actually physically go and see the parking spot in the locker. Most lockers are sort of standard in size. However, it does pay many times to make sure that the parking spot is one that can fit your car. Especially if you have a big car, you never know if your car is going to fit or not fit. So it's important when you're going out to take a look at a place that you're going to purchase, take a look at the parking spot in the locker as well to make sure that everything is going to fit your car and your needs for sure. The other thing you want to look at is the percentage of renters in the building. Not that all renters are bad, but unfortunately, some renters don't have the same passion for the condo building that owners have. And renters can sometimes put a lot of wear and tear on the building. So you want to make sure that you're in a building where the percentage of lowers is probably somewhere below 30%. Right now in Toronto, we're seeing that most buildings have a percentage of renters of at least 30%. Some are going as high as 50% or 70% if they're a highly investor-related building, but it just depends. So you want to take a look at the percentage of renters. You also want to take a look at the demographic of the building as well, too, and make sure that the people who live in the building are like-minded, like lifestyle and like age, for example. So there are some buildings where some more retired people tend to go into those buildings because those buildings tend to meet their needs. They like that the building is predominantly retired people and it fits their demographic. So if you're a young person moving into a condo, you might not necessarily want to be in a building where everybody is 60 plus. It might not necessarily hit all of your social objectives. So it is important that while you're in the condo building to kind of take a look at who the other residents are to make sure they match your demographics. I would always suggest too, when you're going in to see the condo, if there are people who live in the building who are in the elevator with you, just start asking them, so what do you think about this condo? What do you like about living here? Because those people can certainly give you a very unbiased view of what it's like to live in the building and if they truly like it. And if the building really is all that in a bag of chips. So it's important to ask those questions and do your research beforehand. The other thing with condos right now is we're seeing a lot of bidding wars for condos. And, bidding wars really have been a standard in the housing market for many, many years right now. And they're very new. I would say in 2016, the bidding war for a condo has become quite regular and quite normal. And it's just because the supply of condos in the city has come down quite a bit. And, for years and years, so many people have been writing about, in Toronto, they're overbuilding on the condos. They're building too many of them. However, that's clearly not the case because this year in 2016, I have certainly held my share of offer nights for condos. And basically what that means is that a condo will come on the market, let's say on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then the following week, they'll be taking offers on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, and they'll see how many offers they have on the condo. Now, the price fluctuations for a condo on a bidding war night are certainly not the same as a price fluctuation that you would see on a house on offer night. For houses, for example, you're seeing people having to offer $150,000 to $300,000 over the asking price. When we're talking about the condo market, people seem to be between $15,000 to $30,000 over the asking price. It's not outrageous. But because having an offer night for condos is fairly new, I have noticed that some buyers get scared away and they feel like, no, they don't want to compete. They're not used to that. And that's okay. There's certainly other people out there who are willing to compete and make sure that they get the place of their dreams, basically. And the other thing that I've noticed is because there's offer nights, with offer nights comes bully offers or preemptive offers. And what a bully offer or a preemptive offer is let's say, for example, the condo comes on the market on Monday or Tuesday. They're taking offers the following week and somebody sees it on Wednesday or Thursday and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I want it now. And so they basically bring in a nice clean offer with no finance condition and no status certificate condition. And they say, we're going to pay X amount over the listing price right now if you sell it to us now. So that's certainly been the case quite a few times. And I've certainly been involved in quite a few bully offers on condos, which always work well for the clients, for the sellers. And those things are also now becoming quite normal because there is so little product on the market. The other thing is that there's quite a few 1-bedrooms on the market, but there are nowhere near as many 2- and 3-bedroom condos on the market. So I'm noticing when a 2-bedroom condo comes on the market, it's almost like there's a feeding frenzy because now you're to a point where people can't afford the house because most houses in the city are pushing the $1 million mark. And so if you want a 2-bedroom condo or even rarer, a 3-bedroom condo, it's just incredibly competitive. I was recently looking at some stats in my neighborhood, which is C10 around the Yonge and Eglinton neighborhood, and noticed that there were 19 sales of 3-bedroom condos in the year of 2016. 19. And then when I looked at the sales of 2-bedroom condos, there were just over 190. So the amount of opportunities out there for larger condos are very, very rare. So it certainly makes the 3-bedroom condos the big jewels out there, especially when people are looking to raise families in their condos, because buying a house